Hey everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome to Motion Nations, and in today's video we are going to create this 3D fly-through text animation in After Effects without using any third-party plugin. So without wasting any further ado, let's jump into After Effects and get started. Alright, so right now I'm in After Effects, so let's begin by creating a new composition. So let's go to Composition, New Comp, let's call this Main. Width and height 1920 by 1080, frame rate 30 fps, and duration you can set whatever you want. Just click on OK. Now let's create our text. So select the text tool and you can type whatever you want. I'm going to type your text and let's just select this and press S, and I'm going to scale this up something like this. Now let's align this into the center of this comp. Now we can select this text and right click. Let's pre-compose it. Let's call this text and move all attributes to the new composition. Just click on OK. Now we are going to create bunch of different copies and mask on this layer. So let me just quickly select this and let's select the ellipse tool and make sure your layer is selected. After that you can click in the center and hold down the shift key and control key on your keyboard, and you will see that it will create a perfect circular mask, something like this. So just create a small mask like this. After that we can select this layer, press Ctrl D to duplicate it. Now we can hide the top layer, and after that we can select the second layer and let's click on inverted so that we are able to see the other text. Now while the layer is selected we can create another mask, so just simply go to the middle and hold down the shift key and control key and it will again create a perfect circle. So just make a little bit bigger circle, something like this. After that we are going to change these parameters. So first let's hide the inverted and let's set these to intersect for both of these, and after that let's click on inverted so that we are able to see the only part which is inside these two masks. Now we can select this layer, press Ctrl D, and now we can hide the top layer and let's select this layer, and now we can select the inner mask. So just hold down the shift key and just keep on selecting all the points. After that press Ctrl T so that you can scale this mask. So hold down the shift key and control key and you can just simply scale this mask, and let's make this little bit bigger, something like this. Now we can just simply change the inverted. Now you can see that we are able to see this portion. In the same way let's select this, press Ctrl D, and let's hide this layer. Now let's select this and we are going to again do the same thing but with this inner mask. So again hold down the shift key and select all the points. After that press Ctrl T and let's zoom out. Now you can just simply select the endpoint, hold down the shift and control key, and let's make this bigger, something like this. Now again let's hide the inverted and let's check the inverted on the top layer. Now let's create one more copy by pressing Ctrl D and let's repeat the same step. So if I enable all the layers, you can see that we have our text. Now before we do anything, let's select all of these layers and make them 3D, and also make sure to enable the collapse transformation, and let's enable the motion blur for all these layers. Now let's go inside any of these comp and let's do all the things for this layer as well. Now we can go back to this main comp, and from here we can start pre-composing each of these layers. So let's select the top one, right click, pre-compose, and just make sure that move all attribute is selected. Just click on OK and do the same thing for all of these layers. And now let's make them 3D as well and enable the motion blur and collapse transformation as well. Now we are pretty much done with our scene and let's start animating it. So first I'm going to right click, let's create a new solid and just click create whatever color you want. Now let's apply gradient ramp to it and let's select little bit of dark blue colors, something like this, and we can place this solid below all of these layers and let's make this 3D as well. Now let's create a new camera. So right click, new camera, just click on OK. Now we can switch our view mode from active camera to top. Now you can see that we have all of these layers, and first I'm going to select all of these text comps and press P for position, and let's add a keyframe, and again let's press R for rotation and let's add a keyframe for Z rotation for all of these layers. Then you can press U to display all the keyframes. Now we can select these keyframes and let's move them further apart, somewhere around 2 seconds. And in the beginning we can just simply select these layers and let's move them ahead of our camera, so you can see that now our text is behind it. So if I play back, you can see that now our text will move back to this original location. And let's do the same thing with the Z rotation. So let's just simply type -90. Let's go back to the active camera and let's fit to the comp. Now you can see we have this sort of animation. And let me just quickly select all of these keyframes. We can press F9 to ease them. Let's go to the graph editor and let's change the graph to look something like this. And if your graph looks different, then make sure you are in the edit speed graph, not the value graph. Now let me play back. Here you can see we have this sort of text animation, which is looking good. Now let's tweak it further and let's add our light. So again, go to layer, new, let's add a light. And let's make it a spotlight. Just click on OK. Now we can again go back to the top view. Over here you can see we have this light, and let's just place it somewhere around here, and let's align it so that it's somewhere where our camera is. And you can probably rotate its angle something like this so that it's facing towards the text. Now let's go back to the top view and we're going to play around with a couple of these parameters. So select the light, press A twice. Now let's play around with these settings, and first I'm going to lower down the cone angle something like this, and let's place it so that our text is visible somewhere around here. If you want you can go into the front view and you can just simply change your light and just place it somewhere around here, something like this. Now it's completely up to you. You can play around with these values, and let me just quickly select this and I'm going to make the gradient little bit lighter, something like this. Now let's enable the shadow for these layers. So first I'm going to select all of these and let's disable the collapse transformation. After that we can select these layers, press AA, and let's enable cast shadow on all of these layers. There you go. Now let's press Ctrl A, press U so that all the layers are hidden. Now we can select the solid and let's go to the top view, and we can just move it little bit behind it, something like this. Let's go back to the active camera, and now we can select this, press S to scale this up. Now let's select the light and let's play around with a couple of these settings. So first I'm going to increase the intensity and let's make the cone angle something like this. After that we can increase the shadow diffusion, something like this. So now you can see we have this really nice shadow behind our text. And now let's just quickly offset all of these text layer. So I'm going to offset them by 5 frames. So just zoom in and let's select them and let's move them something like this. So just offset all of these layers. And now if I play back, here you can see we have our really nice text reveal animation. And there's one more thing that you can do. You can add some depth of field to this. So let's select the camera and press AA and let's enable depth of field. After that let's select the aperture and we are going to increase this quite a bit so that when our text is out of focus, it is quite blurry. So if I play back, here you can see we have this really nice text reveal animation, and it's completely up to you. You can just play around with the setting of these lights, and you can play around with the background color to create different kind of look. Now the best thing is that you can just simply go inside the text comp and you can type whatever you want and just align your text. And if you go back, you can see that all the changes have been applied. And if I play back, here you can see we have this same animation but with different text. So this is how you can create these kind of text reveal animation, and the project file for this tutorial is available on Patreon. So if you want, you can join my Patreon page and you will get access to all the tutorial project files and exclusive templates that are available only on Patreon. So with that being said, my name is Abhishek and I'll see you in the next one.